All right, in this video, we're going to do the homework review number 7. All right. So it says the graphs of f of x is equal to x plus 4. So f of x is equal to x plus 4. And g of x is equal to the absolute value of x. While looking at this graph, I know that this is my f of x function because they've labeled it. And this is my g of x function because they've also labeled it. Fill in the table for each. Well, if I'm looking at my f of x function here, I'm going to look at that yellow line, and I need to identify when my x is -3, and this is my x-axis right here. Okay, so when my x is -3, 1, 2, 3, what is my y value here? Well, my y value would be 1. So I can fill it in as 1. When my x is -2, x is -2, my y value is 2. When my x is -1, my y value is 3. When my x is 0, my y value is 4. Now, if you're confused on where I'm getting these numbers from, all I'm doing is looking at the values on my y-axis, which my y-axis is right here. So I'm looking at my x values and identifying my y value. And that's all I have to do. Now, if you, for some reason, forget how to do that, you can also just plug in those x values like -3. When you add 4, you're going to get 1. You can still use that method, but if they're giving you the graph, it's going to be easier just to identify the points on the graph instead of doing the calculations, because then you don't have to worry about making calculation errors. All right, looking at my g of x function. My g of x function I have here in pink. I'm going to look at my x values and identify my y values. So when my x is -3, what is my y value? Well, my y value is 3. When I look at -2, my y value is 2, which makes sense because the absolute value of -3 is equal to 3. Remember, absolute value is just the distance from 0. So it's always going to be a positive number because your distance is always positive. So at -1, I'm right here, I'm at 1, and 0 is 0. All right, what 2 ways from the information above could you determine the solution for f of x equals g of x? Okay, so they want to know the solution. Well, our solution is where the 2 points intersect. So you can either look at where the graph intersect, cross, or you can look when you have the same x and y values. So here I look at -2 and 2, and I see in the table I have -2 and 2, and -2 and 2. So it's either where the graphs intersect or where my x and y values are the same. So what is the solution for f of x equals g of x? Well, that is going to be -2 and 2. My solution is where, that's a really big highlighter. My solution is where the 2 points intersect, where they both would be the same value for the input and the output. All right. For question 4, it says list 3 points that appear to be solutions to the function shown in the graph. And they were even nice enough to give you a hint. They are points that fall on the curve. So we need to find 3 points that appear to be solutions on the graph. Well, the first point I'm going to pick is right here because it's on coordinates. And again, I'm going to highlight my x-axis because it's really, really hard to see here. 2, 1, 0. That's my x-axis. And my y-axis I'll do in green. That one's right there. All right. So the x value for this point that I've highlighted in red here is -3. And the y value here is 4. So the first solution that I'm going to list is -3 and 4. Now let's look at it for another point. I like this point right here because it's the y-intercept. So my x value is going to be 0. My y value here is 1. So I have 0, 1. The last point I'm going to select is going to be right here. And that is when my x is -1 and my y is also -1. So those are 3 solutions. And remember, solutions are just telling us points on that line. They're telling us an x and y value that makes a true statement for that function. All right, moving on to number 5. Oops, let's undo that move. Okay. The graph of the functions f of x equals 5x squared minus 10x plus 4. So here we have a function, and this is that function. And we have the function g of x is equal to -5x plus 14. Okay, so those are my 2 functions. Using the graph, what is the positive solution to f of x equals g of x? Why is this the solution? Okay, well, the solution is always going to be when the 2 points intersect. This point right here has an x value of 2 and a y value of 4. So the solution would be 2, 4, because that's where the 2 graphs intersect, and where they intersect is the solution. All right. Number 6, the graph of a linear function is shown. Which of the following, select all that apply, are a solution? So we need to identify which points fall on this graph. And I'm going to highlight just because it's really hard to see here again. This is my y-axis. My x-axis is this line right here. I think, yep. That's really hard to tell. So which points fall on this line? So -1, 1. Well, -1 or 1, -1. Helps if I look at it right. If I'm looking at 1, -1, so I go over to the 1, up 1, is that a point on the graph? Yes. Then we have 0, 3. Let's look at this graph. Is 0, 1, 2, 3, is that a point on the graph? Yes. What about 3, -3? So 3, 1, 2, 3, -3, 1, 2, 3. Yes. -1 and -5. So -1 and -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, that is not. Then we have -2 and 5. So -2, 1, 2, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is also not a solution. So our 3 solutions here are A, B, and C. All right, that is it for our homework number 7.